You're listening to Radio Free Decipher. This is Kyle Hoyer, and with me, as always, Evan Lawrence.
How are you?
It's going good this week. How have things been going on Trek, man?
Busy.
Tell me about it.
The last week and a half, roughly, maybe 2 weeks, have been some very intense, frenetic work on Holodeck Adventures. We're going in, and basically there's a lot of new stuff happening with Holodeck Adventures all of a sudden, and it's required a lot of attention on my part.
All of your time.
Yeah, basically. So
no time to watch all those new DVDs you bought.
Something like that.
Well, cool. Well, on top of Evan's crazy schedule of Star Trek, we've also got an interview later on in the show today with Matt Colville.
He's going to cover some information about the Star Trek role-playing game coming up, tell you what they've got in store for that.
And a little bit about the Lord of the Rings adventure game and role-playing game.
Maybe a hint or two.
A hint or two.
There you
Sounds
go.
good. So elaborate a little bit more on your trials and tribulations.
Well, I wish I could, but Holodeck Adventures is still not gone to approval. So at this point, there's really no guarantees about what you'll see in that set. I can tell you it's going to be a 131-card set.
There'll be some
normal.
holograms.
There will be some holograms. It will include material from all of the existing Star Trek properties. Lest anyone be confused, Enterprise is not included there when I say all of the ones that already exist in the game.
So we're talking classic, next gen, DS9,
Voyager. Definitely, mostly the last three. The classic series doesn't have that
too many holograms.
Into the set. No.
Now we have the Voyager only format. The cards that are in Holodeck Adventures that may have the Voyager logo, how's that going to work?
They will work in all the Voyager formats. This is going to be, of course, our first, call it integrated set of the year, where it's not all Voyager material, but the cards in it that are Voyager related work in all of the Voyager formats that have been established.
Okay, very cool.
So it's not 131 new cards for the Voyager formats, but it's, say, 40, 50, whatever portion of them are Voyager work in the formats.
Sure.
So that warp speed and so forth will continue to expand.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Very good stuff. Well, we've also got some Star Wars news.
Yes.
Reflections 3.
Everybody's waiting for Halloween for the candy and Reflections.
That's right. Hopefully all of you out there will get Reflections 3 in your treat bags
there you
as
go.
you trick or treat. That's our wish, And this weekend, we've got Reflections 3 pre-releases starting tomorrow.
Yes, there are several events happening.
That's right. I believe there's 8 in North America. Check them out on the website. You can find all that information at Decipher.com. Now, space is limited at some of these, so be sure and call ahead to make sure that you get a spot in the one of your choosing.
Cool.
So it's going to be good stuff, man. They had a Reflections 3 pre-release at Essen this last weekend. They had 2 of them, actually, and they said, man, what a great format that is. They said it was just fantastic. People were pulling both Maul and his double-bladed lightsaber and were just wreaking havoc on people. So that's pretty cool stuff.
Wow.
Yep.
Speaking of Essen, they had a good show all around from what we hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, the volunteers that were there did such a fantastic job because the Lord of the Rings buzz at that show and the amount of demos that they had was overwhelming for those guys.
They showed up when the doors opened, and basically most of them didn't get a break until the doors closed.
They were Marcus and Dominic and Yuri, the guys running the show, were really having some issues trying to make sure that they were all fed and watered and braked, because there was no slow time on the booth at all the entire show because everybody was so wanting Lord of the Rings demos. So that's good, and the reception that the game got was fantastic as well.
So thank you to all of you volunteers out there who went and represented us well.
That's right. That's right. Speaking of good reviews, we're getting reviews all over the place right now on different websites and stuff. I know that there was some on mtgplanet.com, which is a big Magic website, and those guys just really love the game. So check out the buzz out there. It's really good stuff right now. I'm really excited. Excited about it. Yeah. We had some cool cave troll stuff going on today, and that's one of the cards that we can't show anybody the picture of right now.
That's right.
But it's going to be good stuff, and you'll be able to see it, though, November 6th.
Yes. Until then, however, there are certain things that you just can't see.
That's right, and that's one of them. Cave Troll. He's good. All right, well, let's move on, and we'll give Matt a call and see how he's doing.
All right, well, welcome to the show, Matt. How you doing?
I am doing great, Kyle. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. Why don't you tell everybody out there what exactly you do for Decipher, and tell us a little bit about what you've been working on recently.
Sure. I'm a designer/editor/writer, and that means that when we first came on board with Decipher and we were going to produce a role-playing game, I was one of the people that determined how the game was going to work. I was one of the designers, and I was one of the people that, in many meetings, put the engine together that drives all our games, Star Trek and Lord of the Rings. So, I was one of the people that debated what dice you roll and how skills work and things like that. I'm a writer, which means that once we figured out how the system worked, we all broke and said, okay, you go and write this, and you go and write that, and I wrote a bunch of stuff. And then once things are written, we all look at it and we go through everybody's work and edit it and make sure that everything's consistent and everything that we've written makes sense. And then we hand it to the layout guy, and that's his problem.
Wow, truly a man of many talents.
At least one or two.
I suppose Decipher is only going to hire the best, though.
Oh, well, that makes me happy. And me, the best and me. Okay, fair enough.
Oh, no, don't sell yourself short. So what projects have you been working on recently?
Well, let's see. We are currently finishing up the Lord of the Rings adventure game.
Okay.
Most of my work is finished on that, although as it goes into layout, our layout guy has questions, and then sometimes I have to take an hour or two and go over how the map is going to look and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that took a block of my time a while ago. The Lord of the Rings adventure game is an introductory game for primarily teenagers who have just seen the movie and want to come out and play the game. And it consists of essentially two books, one that explains what Middle-earth is and what's going on in it, and the other is the adventure, going through the mines of Moria, fighting the Balrog, playing the Fellowship of the Ring, and I was the guy that wrote all that and figured out what the adventure was and how it was going to work.
Wow, fantastic.
And that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that, and I think it's a hell of a game, and I'm looking forward to see what people think of it. Right now, we're going through the Star Trek Narrator's Guide, which means the book that people who are running the game use.
Okay.
For their friends, and we're going through it and changing how certain things work and developing the chapters that have already been written, which means making sure they make sense, making sure they all integrate with all the other chapters. And that is what I'm working on today, even as we speak. I'm going through Starship Combat and figuring out if it works the way we want it to and what changes we're going to make to it.
You said earlier that you basically had your head buried in a bunch of, manuals and stuff, as I was trying to call, and you were like, I'm sorry, I wasn't hearing the phone call because I'm so concentrated on exactly what I'm working on.
Yeah, I was in the conference room, and I had all these little Post-it notes up that all mark with different things you can do in Starship Combat and whether or not you can do them in our game. And the goal is to make them so you can all do them.
What kind of ship are you going to fly, man?
Oh, hell, I'll take the Akira class because it's badass.
Really?
Yes.
Really. I'm a fan of Klingons. Evan here is not necessarily the big fan of Klingons, but the other night when we were watching Enterprise and that Klingon ship turned on Enterprise, it was good. It was all good.
It was cool.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to some Klingon stuff.
Hey, the Klingon ships are all like quick and dirty.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, they're cheap and they fall apart fast, but they
do some damage.
But yeah, they work well while they work. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the Klingons don't have the same regard for human life that the Federation has.
That's right.
Or Klingon life. They don't have the same regard for life that the Federation does. If a few Klingons die because life support doesn't work that well, hey, more to the glory of the Empire.
That's right. That's right.
Or so I'm told.
Great. So, talk to us about the future.
Oh gosh. After the Narrator's Guide, I go on to do more stuff with starships. We have a book that's all starships. And then we're going to be releasing deck plans for some of the ships, like the Akira class, for instance, I think. And gosh, we're doing a ton of other stuff. We have the Lord of the Rings role-playing game.
That's right.
That is currently in development. And I didn't do that much work on that.
Now, that's coming out first quarter of next year, right?
I believe so. My buddy Steve Long, I think, is doing all the editing. He is the master Lord of the Rings developer dude. He is the man. And that should be done, soon. And we're looking forward to that. And then, gosh, what else? We have a ton of products on the list. We have a Mirror Universe supplement we're working on. We have tons and tons of stuff. And after the Narrator's Guide is done, I go on to work on starships. And we may be doing a miniature war game.
Now, when you guys develop the content for your Star Trek stuff, for instance, do you go through and you look at all the other properties that have been made for the Star Trek universe? Like, do you look at the card game? Do you look at the books? Do you look at the video games? All that kind of stuff for source material?
It depends. Not usually with Star Trek. No, Middle-earth is kind of different.
Okay.
With Star Trek, the Paramount, we deal with Paramount on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And Paramount says if it was on the TV show, if it was in a movie, it's canon. Otherwise, it's not.
Okay.
So if we use something that we read in a book or something that we saw in somebody else's game or like a Pocket Books product, then we can get in trouble. So we try to keep an eye open to see what everybody else is doing and see what's going on in all the other properties. But we try not to become too immersed in them, because if we use any of their ideas, we can get in trouble.
Interesting. Well, I don't think that there would be a problem using stuff from the card game.
Well, no, obviously, because we do that. We've gone through one of the things we love for the card game is the art, the fantastic images that we have now as a result of being part of Decipher. Some of which are made up. They're not from the ship.
That's right.
They're great CGI stuff, and it just opens up a whole new world of possibilities for what we can put art-wise in our books.
Yep.
And let me tell you, I was formerly the art director when we were under the original version of the Star Trek game,
mm-hmm.
and how you get images and what those images are can be extremely painstaking.
That's right.
Emphasis on the pain.
Well, great. Well, thanks so much for sharing all this information with all of our listeners out there, and wish you best of luck, and we're looking forward to seeing all this good stuff coming out.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
So there you have it. Thanks, Matt, for joining us, and to all of you out there, have a good Halloween, have a happy Reflections 3 release date,
and have a great weekend.